Hey, welcome to the 121st episode of the Sawdust Nation Podcast with your joking hosts, Josh from North Country Woodworking, Nick with the free mustache rides from MPG Creations, and myself, Nat from Nap's Naughty Works LLC. We got quite a bit going on between injury, pails being full with work and real work, and all the good things, and definitely full of bourbon because Nick has quite the collection. If you're not a Patreon, you can't see this, but you'd probably best to know that he's got quite the collection that I want to steal from him. But let's go ahead and jump on into what's going on in our shops, starting with Nick.
Oh, well, I did it again.
Oops, I did it again.
Yeah.
Hold it together, Josh.
I made the wrong shadow box again for a customer. But I caught it before I shipped it this time. So I hurried up. I made it. I finished it last night. This morning, then I got to this afternoon when I went to go put stuff in it, and I was like, wait a minute, and it didn't fit. No wonder it didn't fit, all the stuff they sent me to fill the shadow box, because it was the wrong shadow box. So I went and it was actually like around noon. I started a new one and finished it around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Well, I mean, you've proven before that you can make a shadow box pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I had all the files already ready. It was just glue up for 30 minutes and then get it going. You know what I mean?
I gotta say, you're pretty ballsy for doing a glue up that fast. Yeah, I would have maybe given it at least an hour and a half, like just a little.
30-minute glue up, and then you put it on the clamps or put it in the on the CNC for the facade. And
bro. You put it on the CNC in the clamps.
No, so what I do is I use the pressure to keep the side pressure to keep the piece in place. So the hour it was on the CNC roughly helped with the glue, but I mean it's fine. It would have been fine if the cutout time would have been 20 minutes, because once it was cut out, it just sat there until the body was built. So I had to build the carcass behind it. And that was, I didn't want to do that before I built the actual, or before I cut the facade out. Because, as Murphy's Law, I already effed up once. If I build this carcass behind it and it's too big, guess what? Or too small, it's not going to line up right. So, and a lot of times, so I would have so if I was making everything the same size over and over again, then I would just be able to do it and have a cut list and all that stuff. But since I don't make the same size over and over again, all my stuff is custom sizes to fit the customer needs. That's where the issue lies. So I don't exactly know what my cut list is going to be beforehand. Yeah. And so now I have two. One's getting glued up, like the accoutrements are being glued in this evening, and I will have it out tomorrow. And the other one is hanging on my wall. But I've already had some people inquire about it, so we'll see if that one ships too soon.
It almost makes you wonder if we made a shadow box a week or a month and we just had it sitting around, how easy it would be to sell.
So I've done a square one before. I think the hard part is rank. You have to get the right customer with the right rank who's retiring.
Well, Master Sergeant seems to be the clutch one.
Yeah, you're safe to say with Master, but Chief and Senior are pretty not as common to get those jobs. And then the ones I did to this one for was an E6. So it is what it is, man. Everything's good though. I gotta go finish a couple of plaques tonight after we're done. I've been running to Dakota Hardwoods quite often lately, buying up all their cherry wood. Yeah, I don't usually go first, so
he's normally formulating his entire story while we're talking.
No. Yeah. So last week or last Saturday, I stopped at the Garrison Brothers Distillery, and I went on the tour for the bourbon tour that they have. And by the way, if you're active duty, it's free. So all you do is you can make a reservation, or you can just show up. If they have room, they'll take you. And it's a good time. Took the wife up there. We had some We had some lunch. The lunch was phenomenal. I think that was probably the best hamburger I had in Texas so far.
Oh, again.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. And just the atmosphere is super laid back and chill. Stopped by the gift shop, saw a lot of the items that I made. I did also deliver a bunch of items to them to finalize their order. And then, yeah, man, all's good. But my shop's a wreck. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way, but I have around my drill press, I have quite literally a heap of shavings from using a Forstner bit because I was making those whiskey staves into whiskey flights for the whiskey glasses.
Here's a tidbit for you, because I'm going to go ahead and assume everyone listening and us, when we're making something, we get a lot of offcuts, little pieces, shavings, whatnot. And it kind of like sits there until you're able to clean up or you get the vacuum out, wherever. So what I have found is I take a 5-gallon bucket from like Lowe's or Home Depot, wherever you get one, and I kind of keep it where I'm working and carry it around with me. And I put all that stuff in there. So at the end of the day, I can just dump it into my fire bin or dump it into my garbage, wherever. And it makes cleanup that much faster. Because I'm literally like, I'll be on the bandsaw. I'll be cutting little pieces off, toss it in the bucket. And then it just alleviates cleanup later. So it might be something that works in your shop. For mine, because it's so small, that little bit of cleanup as I go helps a lot.
I gotta say, as far as cleanup is concerned, I've been more conscious of my shop and cleaning as I go. It was something I really didn't do very well in San Antonio because it seemed I was always working like 10 projects at once. So it never seemed to be like, oh, this tool is nowhere to be found. Oh, wait, it's under the pile of freaking wood over there that I threw over there or whatever.
Never done that.
But now it's like, okay, so I'm here. My jobs are plentiful, right? I knocked out a lot this weekend. We'll talk about that when I get to my shop. But as I'm getting through my jobs, I'm starting to just clean up more because I can't open my garage as often as I used to, being able to just walk out to the trash can, throw things out, blow the dust out, whatever. But I can tell you it's definitely improved workflow because I've been able to just clean as I go, like by a lot. I'm able to find my tape measure all the time now. So
Speaking of blowing stuff off, so I was building a plaque, basically just etching a plaque, and I went to blow it off, and the nozzle tip came off and marred the wood.
Oh no!
I know. So it was pretty bad. I mean, it was a good little mar, right? So I took an iron to it with a cloth.
Okay, yeah,
and I waited for the iron to heat up, and I shot steam into it, and it raised it back up. So that was, I was like, your immediate response is like, oh, fudge, right? Like, I got to start over because it already went through etch. I was just doing the sanding and all that stuff. And so saved the day there. And then as far as cleanup goes, I usually keep the Kleenex right next to my bottle of Jergens. So we're good to go. Anyway.
Excellent.
Josh, what do you got going on in the shop?
Well, not too much, to be honest. Finishing up that military working dog plaque. Honestly, I probably could have knocked it out, but I've been kind of busy outside the shop. Also have a shadow box that I need to get to Florida by the 4th. I got one ordered from a spec ops guy down there. Great guy. Had a quick conversation on the phone. That's one of the reasons, like, it's awesome when they call. Like, I always try to get them on the phone. I get to get exactly what they want. I get written down, and then I can send them an invoice. But I also get to hear the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's 20 years of service, if they just getting out. And then, we go back and forth on like our careers and where they're taking us. So it's always good connecting on that level with a client. I kind of started that. I got the wood cut to length. I do have to resaw the walnut and then probably get one more board of cherry to finish off that project. I was trying to glue it up this weekend, but I had to do it in steps. We had family over and I wanted to be present for that. In other news, I got the 3D printer all ready to go and spun back up, making some jigs and different things for the shop just to kind of make life easier. Winter is coming, and with that, I want to make sure I can collect as much dust as possible so I do not have to open the door if I don't need to or don't want to. Doing a little dust collection for the miter saw, better dust collection for the bandsaw, such as that. Also placed a couple orders on Amazon to go stock the shop up with just glue. I got some Quick and Thick, one of my favorite glues. I got the dark Type On, and I have enough right now with a Type On 3 that I use. But I'm putting them all in that glue. Of course, I can't think of the name because that'd be convenient. The little glue bot thing. So these gentlemen actually talked me into buying one, I would say about 8 months to a year ago. And I love it. I use it for my Type On 3 all the time. So I put my Type On Dark in there, and I'm trying to put the Quick and Thick in there as well and seeing how that works out. Because I don't know if you know this, but they just changed the top to the Quick and Thicks. It used to be that little cap that goes on that you lose like immediately when you take it off. Now it's a bigger cap that fits most of the nozzle, and you actually have to cut a piece of the nozzle off to actually utilize it. But those glue bots, they just work so well. I figured if I had 3 of those, of the 3 main glues I use, and I just keep topping them off, it should work out great. So we'll test that theory and see how that goes.
Definitely well worth your money to look into getting a glue bot. I'm just saying. If I know you have one, I have 2. I got actually 3. I only keep the Type On 3 in mine. Just the dark. I keep in the. I have like a, what do you call it? Like a cylindrical bottle of the dark that came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the regular size, yeah.
Yeah, I just keep topping that up because I bought a gallon of it.
Oh, okay.
Where'd you get the gallon of that at? Because I've been trying to.
Amazon.
Maybe I'm just stupid, but it's on Amazon.
Yeah,
You get it off Amazon. It's expensive. More expensive than the regular stuff.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with the whole glue bot things, is because the last time I bought Type On Dark, I got 2 bottles, so it was like a deal. And instead of taking up valuable space on the shelf that the glue sits on, if I have it in a glue bot, I don't have less space there, right? And then from now on, I'll buy the gallon, and I'll just utilize the glue bots of buying these little bottles that run out at the most convenient times. So
I do have to say though, I change out my glue bot every year and a half because it gets pretty nasty.
Well, you can clean it out. Yeah.
Inside. So I mean, the thing gets just mine was rode hard and put away wet multiple times. So
fair enough.
It was just like all chunky and stuck inside. And I was like, yeah.
Kind of reminds me, for those out there, the visual of his mustache, a little bit chunky, a little bit wet. Anyway, so going forth, we got glue bots.
Usually
if you don't have
stuck
one,
inside.
Yeah,
That's just nasty.
So get a glue bot if you don't have one already. It is definitely worth your while. Now I'm a proud owner of 3 and loving it. So also, because I use the UV Totalboat super glue, I went ahead and bought a better flashlight. And it was like, I don't know, it was like less than $20 on Amazon. And I tell you, that thing is sweet. So the UV light is pretty good. And in fact, when I turned it on, I made a mistake of like holding by where the light comes out the lens, and it actually hot instantly. So I'm hoping the theory here is that when I use that glue, instead of using the little light that comes with it, that takes kind of a little bit longer for the glue to dry, I instantly put that on there and it dries almost immediately. Because that's the only fault I've seen is the flashlight that comes with, as any company would. It's not the best, you know what I'm saying, because they have to keep costs down. I understand that fully. But UV light is great for many things. It's not just good for their glue. It's actually good for finding glue marks on your pieces. So, like, if you're doing a glue up and you're trying to get rid of all that, and before you actually put your finish on, if you use a UV light on it, you're going to highlight the areas that you didn't catch. So I'll be utilizing that as such as well.
Also, if you're looking to get that stellar tan for the summer, just go ahead and start shining it on your arms. And, you know, you want to avoid the farmer's tan, just hit yourself with the UV light.
Well, I was thinking of something else, but, you know.
There's some things you just don't want to know. But you could use it for other things, and I'm sure you can look those up and educate yourself on that. Going forth, finally got my riving knife in for my table saw. That's definitely a comfort to have back in the shop. It's one of those things where when I lost it, I've been kind of lost without it. So, especially after that one incident I had with plywood, which was still kind of crazy. So just, I got a lot of little things in, little bits and pieces from Amazon. It's making my life in the shop just a little bit easier. Going forth, because of the slow orders and kind of tied down to the couch and not walking around as much, I'm continuing my design and coming up with kind of a topic we talked about a couple episodes ago, and about what we need to sell or try to sell to always provide income coming in the shops. I sat down the last couple of nights and I really try to come up with something that that's easy to do, and B, desirable, right? And I think I have an idea. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing it. It's going to be one of those things where once it's designed, my wife can basically put in the laser. She can push play, and then she can keep going the different designs until I am back from work. If she don't want to paint them, I can paint them, and then they're out the door. So we're looking for something that's cost effective, fast, and that people want, which we're all searching for, right? It's not going to be the greatest woodworking project we've ever seen come out of the shop, but it's what people might be buying right now. So that's what we're working on here. Not much more going on as far as anything shop related. I will say I did break my right toe, and trying to get that fixed and worked on.
Yeah, how'd you break that toe, Josh? Come on.
Not telling anyone on the air.
No, you got to tell us the story, because I told the story about me dislocating my finger playing football like an idiot.
So
come on, it's good content. Let's go. Tell us about it.
If you are a father, you make certain promises sometimes that you don't necessarily think you're going to have to, follow through with, right? I don't do it often, but I can do handstands fairly well. And I did a handstand when my son was getting into karate, try to, get him to basically see, eventually you might get here type thing. And this was like almost a year ago. And he's at the point now where he's trying different stuff on his own a little bit, trying to, get, doing handstands and whatnot, because he saw a friend in class do one too. So he kind of really wants to do one. So he's trying, and he's getting really, really close. Right. And, I look at him like, hey, man, if you can hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, I'll do one too. No biggie, So gotcha. Almost right after I said that, he nails it. So he looks at me and goes, Dad, you owe me a handstand. I'm like, okay. The wife wanted to record this, and I'm like, you're not recording anything. And
please tell me she recorded that thing.
No, she did not.
Dang it. That could have been a great reel.
Yeah. I did a handstand, nailed the handstand. But when I came down, the counter somehow moved behind me, and I slammed my foot into the counter. And then I thought what was just bruising and whatnot. A couple of days later, I went to urgent care, and they told me I had a broken toe. So there I am. I am on crutches, which is stupid, and I wish I wasn't. So note to self, if you're going to do something stupid, look around you and make sure there's nothing hard. There you go.
Sound advice.
Yeah.
I knew it. I left it open for Nick. I got a smile out of him, but I'm waiting for the rest.
Okay, correction. This was all over a walking handstand, not a stationary one.
Yes, I did walk. Yes.
Once you start walking, it means you're either one, you know that's what you're doing is walking, or two, you're about to fall, so you're trying to overcorrect.
No, I was walking on purpose. That's one of those things I've been doing.
Good news is you don't need your toes now. You can just walk on your hands.
I wish I could flip you off with my left foot.
That's right.
No, I'll hit him with the swollen finger. There you go. I got you, Josh.
Nap's got that oddly shaped finger. It's fat in the middle.
No, right? It's swollen. It's still a little swollen, but we're good. It's actually coming back. Note to wife. Press record. Yes, absolutely, Heather. Absolutely.
When it happened, I wasn't even angry about it because it was one of those moments that was like, well, stupid me. So it hurt like a son of a gun, but it still does. And I have my toes taped together and I'm in a boot. But
excellent.
So that is my week recap. Let's go ahead and throw it over to Nap.
Oh, hey there. So just to continue on the injury train. So you all saw me and, well, at least on the patrons, they saw me with the little splint in my middle finger. Then it turned into some tape. Now we're at a point now where so I can bend my fingers all the way, which is good, which means I did something right when I put it back in place. It says it's on WebMD out of all, places, they take you down a rabbit hole, but, they say you shouldn't set your finger by yourself. Well, I did, and it's good. Everything's working the way it should. Now I'm just waiting for the swelling to go down so I can fully bend the finger the proper way. But it's not hindering my shop work because I got another hand and, 3 other fingers and a thumb, so we were good to continue on working.
And Pornhub thanks you.
Yes, I know it does. So looking at my list, so like I said, last podcast started using my old planner again. A lot of my items have been checked off my list, even some of the back burner ones because I was already in the mode of lasering things. So I was like, I'm already here. I might as well just go ahead, pull this up, because I already had the files made. So I just went ahead and started doing some things. The heritage boards are, we'll say, 90% complete. I just have to do the hanger holes so they flush them out against the wall and then put the chamfers on the front ends of the heritage boards and then do a round over on the fronts of the stairway boards or stairway signs. But I have to put the hanger piece in the back. So I got into this thing where I got kind of lazy using the CNC as far as, using it to cut out hanger, I call it squares or rectangles on the back. So I use these sawtooth hangers that are, 3 inches wide and I leave about an inch gap. So that way you can, put it in there. And when you put the screw in, you can hang it right on there and it sits flat against the wall. Well, I started programming that into my laser. So when I go to put my maker's mark on the back of stuff, I actually put the 3-inch by 1-inch rectangle on the back and centered it in light burn. So that way, it's centered on the piece. When I hang it, it hangs level. And I started just burning a hole in the back. And it works. It's very effective and does not take that long. As long as you have your settings correct. It took me, I think, 10 minutes to do 2 of those rectangles with my maker's mark on the back of one of my other projects that I finished and I'm mailing out tomorrow. So the heritage boards will be out the door. I want to say, I'm working COB Friday, maybe Saturday morning, because packaging takes a minute. I have 4 boards and 12 signs. And there's a cat in the background. Hey, cat. So I'll be getting those out hopefully really soon. And then let's see, that Chiefs flag was out the door, I want to say last week, Friday. So that was pretty awesome getting that done. I'm hoping that brings me more business, which it should. I was told that we'll just say there's going to be quite the audience for this individual's PCS going away. So that'll be cool. They'll wonder where it was made. And, they know it came from me because my maker mark is on the back. And then let's see, mugs and coasters. I sent those guys out today. I had 2 mugs to engrave with 2 sets of coasters. Those went to San Antonio. I actually did some stuff for my work. I took some, I think it was like 48 sets of eyewear or glasses for work, and I etched all of they're called the EID or the mark that says like, hey, these go to this box, because each toolkit in our work center is controlled. So it all has like its own mark and it says this is where this goes. I think where most shops could benefit from, none of us do this in real life, but we do it to keep accountability of all of our tools. So we laser etch everything with its particular ID, put it in its box. So that way, if let's say for some reason, which is a very bad practice, something's left out or forgotten or lost, we know what it is, what it goes to, etc. And then we got the Air Force Ball Memento. So the glasses, the wine glasses I've been talking about for like the past 5 episodes now, those are about done. I had to order more glasses because we oversold tickets, so I have to engrave a few more glasses. But I will say I did not do it without help. So while I was working on the projects, I was running those glasses. Well, I still had 96 left for the original amount. Well, the wife came out in the garage and was like, "Can I help with those?" I'm like, "What?" So I made it really easy. I sent the file to my laser. I did this probably halfway through anyways, so I had the file. I could just load it up and get started, so I didn't have to open up Lightburn again. I showed her how to load the file in the laser, how to set it up, and run the job. She ran all 96 yesterday while I was at work and got them all done, which means we're spawning a great working relationship where the wife might be able to help me with engraving stuff, which is pretty awesome. So kind of taking I would say a page out of Josh's book over there with Heather. Heather's doing awesome stuff with the laser. And I was like, you know what? I'll teach my wife how to use the laser too. So she's starting to do that. And eventually when stuff starts getting a little slower here, I'll show her how to actually use it so she can start doing stuff too. So those are about to be done. Let's see, what's this one? Golf ball board. So in the past, I've made a couple golf ball boards, big board with holes in it, put the tees, they put the golf balls on it with the logo on it. I unfortunately had to engrave my college football rivalry logo on a golf board. The old Buckeyes, Ohio State, I hate them. Go blue. So I had to engrave this thing, but it was a smaller one. It was 16 by 16 rather than 24 by 24. So I did that. That's getting shipped out tomorrow, which is cool. And then on my long-term list, I got 2 shadow boxes and then a bunch of mini ones. I don't know if the mini ones are going to happen. Dude hasn't gotten back to me. And quite frankly, it's one of those jobs I really don't want to do. So I'm not going to press the issue on that one. It's kind of one of them things. We all have those jobs we don't want to do. We either price high and hope they say no, or we just don't ask for further information so we don't have to do it. And then I have a trophy I have to make. So in weapons, we have what's called weapon standardization, and they do their load training, and they make sure that they're loading proficiently and doing everything by the book and all these things. Well, each quarter they have what's called load crew of the quarter, where crews go against each other to see who can load the fastest, but the safest and most reliable. But then they also have the year. Well, I'm making the yearly trophy so they can commemorate years and years of yearly winners. And I'll be remaking their trophy because the one they have now is, we'll just say, less than optimal. It's not great. So I'm going to be remaking that by their request, which hopefully will then spawn more business for me to make their load crew the quarter trophies and those things. And then the back burner jobs. So I had 4x decanters I had to etch for my dad for his folks at his work. So I etched those. Those are in the mail and on the way to his house in Texas. And then I got 3 going away things that are not necessarily back burner, but they're easier jobs. And I call them back burner just because I'm doing them at cost because they're for the work center. So as long as they pay for the materials, I really don't care. That's what's going to happen for those. But so that's really what's going on with the shop as far as jobs are concerned. I did finally do the hard piping for my current dust collection system. It's working pretty good so far. There's a couple things I want to do different, though. I got to get another piece of PVC pipe to extend. I'll call it the boom, because I have the solid pipe going up the wall all the way to the ceiling, but the one coming off the ceiling is too short. So I have the flex hose hanging from it now, and it works for a couple of the areas, but I need to make it longer so I can reach some of the other stuff instead of having to push that stuff to the dust collection. Then the dust collection system going to my table saw, my router table, and the downdraft router box. I have to get a splitter to complete that particular portion of the dust collection. But I'm essentially just trying to eliminate a lot of the sawdust, chips, and whatever else that are on the ground. That's kind of like the bane of my existence when it comes to keeping the shop clean, is having to sweep and do all this stuff. I'd rather just have dust collection that gets the majority of it so I don't have to clean up every week as far as the dust is concerned, or the chips and shavings.
So do you have blast gates already or no?
Mm-hmm. So I have ones. So I only have plastic ones for now. I'm actually going to be ordering the metal ones off of Amazon. And I got one that's currently hooked up to the one that's against the wall that goes to the other equipment. so I can close it when I'm using the table saw. But I also need to get one that's going to close off the router table, so that way when I'm using my table saw, it's collecting the most dust possible. I'd also thought about getting the saw stop, was it the dust collection arm, if you know what I'm talking about, the one that goes up and over.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, dude.
I'm sure it is, but the most dust that I'm getting from the table saw at this moment is not the stuff that gets sucked into the table, but when you're like got the blade, or when you got the piece of wood going through, and the blade and the wood is the only thing that's, I guess going through it or whatever, I get the kickback off the top of the blade, which kind of sucks. It's not a whole lot, but it's enough to where like my sweatpants are just covered in dust.
So I just know, because I have that, and I have the blade guard with the attachment for it, and it's great. It works great, but I change my saw blade so much in between the combination blade and dados and all that stuff that you can't use it with dados, and it's just a hassle. It's another step in there. I mean, I don't know. They make a like a super fat one. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, it's like a shroud.
No, I'm talking about the pipe that comes up. It's like a super fat pipe. It's like a 3-inch pipe. I have the skinny one. It works fine. It's just, it still attaches to the dust collection that goes into the port at the bottom of the saw stop.
Gotcha.
But at that point, though, I don't know what dust collector you're running, but
just the Harbor Freight for now.
Yeah, if it's not dedicated just to the table saw.
I mean, when I close the gates, it is. I mean, when I close the gates to the other machinery and the router table, it's really close to the table saw. So, I mean, I'm getting pretty good CFMs from the table saw to it, because the dust collection is not even a couple feet away. So, I mean, it works well. It's just I'm trying to eliminate as much as possible. Now, taking your advice or taking your bit of info from what you've been using, maybe I won't do it then, because maybe it's just a waste of money at that point.
I mean, if I could go back, I wouldn't have gotten it. It's just for my setup, unless I have like a high powered dust collector, then I don't think it's worth it. And I'm talking like 3 horsepower or higher, because I'm running a 1.75 horsepower from across the room, but it's a straight shot. So the dust collector sits right in front of my outfeed table, and I run that hose underneath my outfeed table. I have like a dedicated hose under the outfeed table that attaches to the table saw, and then I just take the dust collector. There's a hose coming off the dust collector as well, and I just marry them together, and it's a legit straight shot. I get enough suction underneath, but when I hook them both up, it's like the suction just goes away. I'm not getting enough. So Josh wants better suction too.
You have to have good suction in the shop. Anyway, I agree with Nick. So I got the Rockler dust hose going in my shop. I don't have any hard pipe yet. It'll come in the future. I'm still kind of waiting on what's going to happen with myself. If I do anything, it will be a hard pipe from the dust collector basically to my table saw, and then a Y fitting basically coming off it with the Rockler and a blast gate, so that I can hook up the bandsaw and like some of the 4-inch port tools that are around there. But I mean, honestly, I use it primarily for my table saw, and that's where I want most of the direct suction from. So
I think the most optimal thing, like in the end, when I do have like my forever shop, like when I'm finally done moving, I'm out of the military and stuff, I would like it to where the dust collection is coming from the ceiling down, like let's say like a support beam or something. Because the one thing I absolutely do hate about, let's say, table saw dust collection is the hose is inherently going to run across the ground. And honestly, I hate that. I absolutely hate it, because I'll be in the groove doing something and won't be paying attention, almost like trip and fall and bust my ass or bust my butt. You could change it. Shop.
I mean, you could absolutely change it. I mean, it wouldn't take much to go ahead and basically seal up where it currently sits, and then cut a 4-inch hose on or hole on the side, put in an adapter there and have it come off the side. The reason why they put it on the bottom is because it helps with the, dust collection.
I think it'd be cool is if you had underground dust collection.
But the only crappy part about that though, Nick, is not saying something would break, but if let's say you get something clogged in the dust collection for some reason, that would be such a pain to clean out or try to get.
Snake it. Or you punch compressed air in there. Hopefully it doesn't jam it further.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. But anyway, I envy you right now, Nap, because every time I need to use a different tool, I have to go to that dust hose and move it over. So
It's fun.
Well, so at this time, for the one I call it the one dedicated drop. I got the dust right system with the little handle, that hooks into the back. It works really well. Honestly, I wasn't sure about the planer, but it's pretty solid because John Davis, he uses that from Why Not Woodworking. And he uses that, and he's like, give it a try, see what you think. I honestly didn't think it was going to hold up very well, but it's a pretty solid system. And I go from planer to, my drum sander. Those are the two main things. The other one I got to really work on, though, that causes the most dust, other than my routing table, is the damn miter box saw. That thing, you have to, I've seen people make boxes for it to catch all the dust. I've seen all that, but I don't have that option right now. So I got to find a better system for that.
Which one do you have?
I got a DeWalt. I've had that damn table saw miter saw since 2014.
I just printed a 3D component for the dust collection on a miter saw, and I haven't hooked it up to use it yet, but it's sitting there ready to go. If it works, if we can get the dimensions, I might be able to go ahead and modify it just enough for yours. Because what it is basically where the blade goes back, it has two walls. The blade goes in between and kicks all that dust inside the box where the direct suction is versus having it go up and over and whatever. I'm with you. I mean, it's going to get cold. I don't want to open that door. And my laser's going to be right there. CNC.
I mean, you can eliminate the problem altogether and just get yourself a Capex with a dust extractor.
So that's been on my mind, actually, believe it or not. So my current miter saw is starting to struggle a little bit because, as I said, I got that thing in 2014. Is when I was in North Carolina, 2 bases ago. She's starting to struggle a little bit. I mean, it's got that heavy prestige amount of blade on there, and it's starting to, we'll just say when I use it and let go of the trigger, it almost wants to stay on for a second longer than it should. So it's starting to go. So I eventually need to get a table saw or a new miter saw. I was looking at a Capex, but then there was also this other one that I saw in another guy's shop here who goes and gets the wood for me from Bismarck. He's got a Bosch table saw or miter saw. I keep calling it table saw. We've been talking about a lot of those miter saw.
Talking about the glide.
It's got that glide, and there's no okay. If you look at the DeWalt, it's got the 2 rails that you push back and forth, to get the max cut. This thing is flat in the back, and it's got an arm system it's super smooth. I was like, This is actually really nice.
I'm talking about for dust collection though. The Capex is extremely well engineered for dust collection when you use it with a dust extractor. Not a dust collector, a dust extractor. That's why I have one dedicated just for the miter station, because it's anytime I bring lumber home, I have to cut it down to fit it on the racks, and then on top of that, I mean, all my other projects that I use or do with it, I use it more of it as a utility thing, not precision.
I got you.
The Bosch that you're referring to, I have, and I honestly love it for the price and what it can do. It is absolutely amazing. It fits every purpose that I could ask from a miter saw. The dust collection works fairly well when utilized from its original ports. What I'm trying to do is minimize the max. So that's ultimately what I'm going to try to do, is to get a Y fitting basically and have a hose going to its original and to the one I'm procuring and making. That way I can get the max from it, and it'll be going right connected to my dust extractor underneath.
Well, I look forward to when you do that. And if I do get a Bosch, I'll be hitting you up a little bit. Or if I get a Capex, then either way.
Get a Bosch.
Look up the Look up the Delta Cruiser as well. So if you're looking to just to save space as well, the Delta Cruiser is the same. It's flat on the back, and it has like these swing arms that go out with it.
Well, I'm gonna do research on all options. To be honest with you, like,
Yeah, I always, man. But and then when you buy the Bosch,
I'm gonna look at all options, but again, cost effectiveness versus what I do, what jobs I get here. If I get real busy here, Capex might be the way to go. But if I stay slower, kind of like I am now, I'll probably go with the Bosch. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's no set in stone. The DeWalt still works. I need to start.
Honestly, depends what you want to use it for. If you're, what kind of board that you're using it for. I bought the one I bought because I get, rough cut stuff. And usually it's a lot wider than normal, stuff I'll get from the lumber yard. So it does really well with that.
I'll tell you that the downside for the Capex is it only comes in 10-inch, but it's sliding, so I can do up to 13 inches with it.
We'll see what happens. Let me finish up with the shop real quick, and then we can get to these questions, because we did have 2 people put in for questions here. The final announcement is my 2.2 kilowatt spindle and accessories and all of the goodies that come from PW and CNC. Daniel over there is on its way. I'm so excited. And the first thing I'm going to try to do, 1/4-inch depth of pass. We're going to see what happens. Oh yeah, it's going down. 1/2-inch bit, 1/4-inch depth per pass. We're going to see what happens. I want to
film
see
it, or it's going to happen.
Oh, I'm going to film it, and I'm going to be hiding behind a freaking like barricade as if freaking thing is going.
I'll tell you what. When I get mine going too, we'll do the same thing. All right.
Well, so yours, Nick, we're just going to say, if we're measuring CNCs here, we know yours is going to perform better. It should.
Well, I'm not trying to measure dicks. I'm just trying to say, like, hey, like we'll see how like if you go deeper, it gets chattery sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. So I'm gonna do okay. So one thing that cuts down on the chatter, and this comes from Ben over at Beach Time Woodworking. Man, it took me a second there. Is a ramp. If you put a ramp on it and you don't just do a straight plunge into the cut, it's more receptive to the cut than if you just say, go down 1/4 inch and go. We'll see. And honestly, Nick, I'm really excited for you to finish getting your Avid together, because to be honest, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for the reels and things. I know you are.
Me too, man. I'm freaking.
He's not measuring. He's helicoptering.
All right.
But that's coming. I'm pretty excited to get that thing installed. And then my 1.5 kilowatt spindle already has a home. And I'm pretty excited to give that to the other maker that is just starting off. But outside of that, that's all I got going to the shop. It was a lot. I talked a lot, but I'm excited because I'm actually busy again. And it's not a bad busy. I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing out in the shop again, as I've said in previous episodes. Let's see. So getting into these questions here, and I need to open my phone because
I got the first one there, boss. Okay, so Victor from Wind Designs wrote us a question.
Hey, Victor, you're in the chat. What's up, dude?
Yeah, he is. Wave. Anyway, so how many products do you feel you should be able to offer before opening your own Etsy store?
Well, Victor, I will say for a guy that lasted all of about 2 weeks on Etsy, I would
Hopefully
say
CNC Game's better.
Yeah, right. I would say really any amount. I mean, if you have something that sells good and you feel it's a good idea and it takes off, you could have one solid item on there that people want, and you're gonna make it big in the Etsy realm. I mean, I know people that literally started off with just laser etching tumblers and stuff like that, and that was the one item, and they make good money from that. I mean, look at Daniel. I mean, he didn't do stuff off Etsy, but he had a couple of things he started off with when he very first started with his dust boots and all these things, and people, bought into it. And now here he is, damn near empire over there, just killing the hobbyist CNC accessories game, and he's very, very successful. So my answer is one solid product. Now, if you have a couple, it helps, but I think one solid product is all you need. That's my personal opinion.
Nick, what do you got?
I concur. As long as you have a product that people have a demand for, it's all you need is one. And then, you can put different variations of it out there, or different versions of it, or bigger ones, shorter ones, fatter ones, smaller, veiny ones, whatever ones you want. Just that one solid product that everybody wants is where it's at. Josh?
Yep, I agree. Yeah, you guys nailed it. Honestly, you got to start somewhere, and setting up the page is the first step. Putting something on there, as long as you have something on there, that's all that matters. Get your name out there and see where it goes.
I mean, I'll also point out that, when I started my Etsy, I only had one item on there.
Was it the Raven tabs or?
Yeah, it's the Phoenix Raven tabs. And then I started coming up with I can do Ranger tabs. Oh, I can do different tabs for different things. And now it's there hasn't been a month yet where I haven't had an order from Etsy. I'm not saying I'm killing it, but it's always nice to be like, oh, I got an email. I have an Etsy order. Cool.
That's a good point, though. How long have you had your Etsy up?
Oh, let me look, man. I don't even remember.
As you're looking it up, I'll go ahead and say this. Etsy is one of those things you got to allow time for people to start finding your stuff. Like anything, let's like Instagram, like Facebook. Once people start looking at it and you get more clicks, it's going to get out there further. You got to give it time. My first, I don't even know the length of time, the first 6 months to a year, I guess I'll say, I didn't sell anything in Etsy. But now I'm getting at least 1 or 2 things a month of people reaching out. And it took to when I started doing shadow boxes. And shadow boxes have been basically one of the bigger sellers on Etsy, and I pull them into the chat and I have them call me, and like I said, and I place the order. And I have my Square invoicing also hooked up to Etsy. So every time I make a sale, it goes to there, and it shows that I'm constantly making sales, and I'm constantly, talking to people on there, and that helps it too. So basically I'm feeding the beast, allowing myself to get better and better. So you get I forget what they call it. It's like shop stars or whatever. And you get great with customer care, great with shipping, response time, and all that stuff gets your name out there further. And it kind of builds upon itself. You don't need a lot of products to do that. You can even have that one item and then be invoicing someone on Square, which is a free platform, and allow yourself to build a catalog and that reputation as you come up with more stuff to put on.
So, I mean, Square's
Etsy fees
free
suck.
up front. Well, Square still has fees too.
They do.
Also, I'm not trying to nitpick you there, but I just
no, you're right.
The money that Square made off me this year, and I was like, oh, you shoot. But my shop's been open since 2020. It said.
Okay.
It doesn't tell me what day, but yeah, and it says 90 sales. So
nice.
2 years, 90 sales. It's essentially soliciting for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. I'm looking at mine too, trying to.
So while they're figuring that out, Tim, to answer you with the how about the Etsy fees, I'll tell you what, man. If you're a smart businessman, and most are, you modify prices based on the fees.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, you're selling the product, and my personal opinion, just because the fees don't go up doesn't mean you should be eating that. The end user, I think, understands when making a purchase, they're going to be eating some of that cost. They have to. If they don't think so, then they're probably not business minded. But most people, when they see something they want, they're just going to buy it. They don't care about the fees or the price at that time. I mean, most of the time, the price doesn't even really increase that much. I mean, if it's me, I'm probably going 75-25, 75% is the customer, and I'll take 25% of the increase, which isn't very much. It's normally cents to the dollar, typically.
I mean, if you look at all my items right now, so I have a bunch of items turned off because I just don't have the bandwidth for it. But all the items that I have on there right now are just plaques, and they're all the same price. And the reason that they recently hiked up too, because of the fees that went up. And I mean, I haven't seen a slowdown in orders. I still think people think that they're getting value for the price that they're paying. Because I don't know of too many other shops that make exactly what I make. So,
well, I mean, if other shops made what you made, Nick, and this just knowing from being in San Antonio, if a certain other establishment made exactly what you're making, I'm guaranteeing you they're charging almost $75 more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they're talking overhead, they're talking about paying their employees, and I can't fault them for that because they are trying to make sure they pay their employees. They have covering their overhead and those things. But independent maker, you're still also your own employee and you're still paying yourself. But at the end of the day, it's just you.
I thought you were going to go down the road of their quality should match their pricing a little bit closer.
And there's that too, right? I mean, I would say Nick's quality is better than I will say the place that I speak of. And he knows exactly which place I speak of because we've been trying to, well, we're not saying we're trying to, but we'll just say we have better prices.
My Etsy store, I guess I opened it in 2020 as well. My sales, this is connected to Square. Keep this in mind. I have 93 sales on there currently.
It's good.
But I mean, like, it's not all on Etsy. A good majority of those are just because it's been connected and it helps my overall algorithm on there. It's a good investment. I think the more places people can find you, the more legit that you are to them, and the more your name's getting out there. So it's even small stuff. You can create a business account on Google and have when people look up Wind Designs, they can go ahead and they see your store and everything like that. It's just something to keep in mind.
And to close that topic off, and Victor honestly comes full circle and gives a good bit in the chat here. He said Petrie over at Petrie's Workshop, he gives a good class on YouTube about Etsy. So if you're a listener and you maybe want to learn a little bit something about Etsy, either from us or even, see what Petrie's got going on over there, take a look at that old YouTube page and give it a watch. And maybe you'll learn a couple things. I might even too, because I tried it, didn't like it, and maybe it's because I was doing something wrong. Maybe. Could be that. But
I will say you've already hit on this, but the fees and stuff might be painful at first until you get your price point down.
Yeah.
I've raised mine on the site to account for that. And then I also have free shipping on a lot of my items. I also put you in front of some other products.
That's a good
you got to account
tactic
for that too.
By the way, I didn't know this, but Matt Voltner has a Etsy page.
What?
I think
I'm on there right now.
Let's go ahead and shoot off this next question from Gears and Fire.
Yeah, well,
Matt,
Tim.
you want to take it away?
Yeah, let me do this. And there it is. Custom home carpentry or on-site installs of big custom pieces. Willing or no? Obviously, local jobs, because you're not going to travel across the nation to do that. Unless it's your full-time job and you're making like thousands of dollars, right? So I'll take it real quick just because I don't do this really ever, just because I don't feel confident enough in it quite yet. So when it comes to custom home carpentry and on-site installs, so me personally, not there yet. I'm good with the small stuff. I make good shadow boxes and make all these decent things, right? But I'm not comfortable enough yet to go into someone's house and do like built-ins and those things. Like Matt Voltner, speaking of, because Nick mentioned him with the LHETS thing, he does some pretty awesome stuff, built-ins and cabinetry and these things. He's got the knack for it. Me personally, I'm just not there yet. So for me, at this point in time, it's a no for me. But maybe in the future, when I maybe get a little more experience under my belt, maybe building furniture or cabinetry or those sorts of things, sure, maybe. Just not right now. That's what I got on that one. Josh?
So it's funny he brought this up. So I made a bed frame, like house structure thing for a client back in about 2 years ago, so 2020. And I actually... it was a long night. So long story short, I didn't have much time to work on it. And I basically finished it the night before I was supposed to install it. So I had to go to their house and put it together because it's one of those structures you can't just give to them and they try to, go up the stairs with.
Have fun.
It fit like a twin size, queen size bed. I forget exactly what it was. And they actually messaged me on Facebook asking me if I was able to deconstruct it and move it to the new house. It would spend 2 years. B, I don't know if I want to touch this thing because I have no idea, the condition it might be in. But they offered to pay me and all this, and I thought about it. I talked with the wife about it, and I'm like, you know what? This might be a great learning. It's 2 years ago. I've learned a lot since then. So let's go ahead and give these guys a hand. So I show up, and I show up with my crutches, and I'm like, I'm going to need someone to give me a hand doing this. So I start going through and taking all the hardware down and everything, and it looks brand new. Like, it looks like I did it like yesterday. And I'm sitting there, and there's some tape here and there that obviously they tape some stuff up with it. But for the wood, it looks brand new. I was pretty stoked about seeing that. Everything for the most part was good to go. I had some hardware bind at certain locations that I told them I'll go ahead and change out for free. That'll be included in the price of that day. Just because the hardware could be reused, but in my mind, I want to give them a quality project that leaves them with, a sense of quality and like craftsmanship. So
the warm fuzzy.
Yeah, exactly. And I even told them, I'm like, look, I'm going to replace these 4. And there was a crack in one of them where the hardware, we took it out. It looks like it separated a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to glue that up and get that for you too. It's not an issue. It's not structurally, it's structurally sound, and it won't cause a problem if not fixed. But I have seen it now, and I need to fix it. So, long story short, we get in the truck, we go to the new house. The dad helps me get everything in the room, and we set it up. And I tell him about the different fixes I would like to do on there. I tell them the price. They had no trouble with the price, and it was a great feeling to see a product. Mind you, when I built this and installed it, I never put it on Instagram or anything, because I honestly, it was built well. I knew it was an issue, but I didn't like it. For whatever reason, I didn't like it because I didn't get to do the things I like to do to make things look crisp and clean, like a chamfer or something like that. They were very particular on how they wanted it. They showed me a picture and they said, I want this. And they didn't even want me paint it or anything. So it was like a clear cut over wood. And, I'm not going to lie. I did use pine because that's what they wanted. They wanted pine at the time. So it was just one of those products where you do when you're like, yep, it's done. It's done. They like it. I'll never see it again. It pops up, and I actually got to remove it and install it into another house. So I have done different things like that in the past, and I'll continue to do it for particular people. If I see, and I've dealt with enough, I believe, at this point in time where I can actually smell them out. If they're just trying to look for a problem, I'm probably not going to help them out. If it's legit people that are reaching out to me, in need, I'm going to give them a hand. And I'm going to set my expectations for them and their expectations for me out straight, so that there's nothing overstepped. And that way I don't have to worry about it. It was a great learning opportunity and a great look back at a project I did 2 years ago to see how it was doing. And like I said, it's for like a little girl's room. So like, for all I know, she could be swinging it off it, playing with her toys, throwing it on there, what have you. So it's lasted 2 years with a child. I think it did a fairly good job with it. But as far as built-ins and stuff, I'm not there quite yet. I would like to be, because that's honestly where some of the good money is. And I've had jobs in the past where people ask me the price, and I told them straight out, I'm not there yet, because I'm not. It's just unfortunate, but it's the truth. So that's my 2 cents, my little story behind that.
That's 50 cents right there.
I'll go ahead and toss it over to Nick.
Not home installs, but I don't have the insurance for that. So big custom pieces, sure. I'll make a good coffee table, kitchen table, if I'm not busy. You know what I mean? The turnaround time on something like that is going to be tremendous for me, because I have to clear off all the other little orders, and then I have to schedule all that shop space for your project. So I've made my own kitchen table, but then again, I had motivation because my wife was about to murder me.
Don't tell my wife how to get a kitchen table made, man. She's been asking for years.
Heather, that's how you do it.
But if I had a larger shop, then it would be a lot easier to have, like, especially while you're like waiting, for glue ups and stuff like that of large items. It'd be easier to like put stuff aside, or at least have its own designated area for large furniture. But I just don't have the bandwidth for it right now. So, or the shop space.
So it's not a no. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier, like, not right now, maybe later, but
Maybe
for different
later.
reasons.
Like if you were like, hey, if you bake me a walnut table, I will give you $5,000. And I'll be like, all right, well, that's the only thing I'm working on the next month or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. I mean, like, I have weekends and evenings, and if I'm going to, I will stop taking orders if I get a large order like that. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I physically don't have the space to do that and run concurrent operations for smaller things as well. So, and smaller things is where I get the majority of my business.
And it's funny because some of the small stuff these days makes a good chunk of change. I mean, just look at a shadow box. Those not really small, but they're smaller.
So I was just looking at some furniture that William Douglas Co. makes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've mentioned him a few times before.
Yep.
But so, and here's where I'm getting at, like a platform bed in the size of a queen, right? Granted, the price is $3,650 and plus whatever it costs to freight it to you. But the sheer size of something like that to have in the shop, to do test fits, and these guys do pretty much all the joinery by hand. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to do that just right now. It would kill the rest of my business. Do you think that would affect your business if you took such a large order that you had to cut everybody off?
Yeah, because
of course.
that 35, and then this is just, using the example of William Douglas Co., right? That 3650, or if that's what you said, I can't remember the numbers, but we'll call it $3,600. I could make that in 5 to 6 smaller jobs, shadow boxes, signage, those things. Like the heritage boards that I'm making, that's not a large order, but I can tell you right now, I made a sizable amount on that. And I was able to work concurrently on other jobs that continuously grew my profit for the quarter. So yeah, I would say if I had a bigger shop, sure, but the small shop having to cut everyone off, yeah, I couldn't do that.
So what about like a chair? Would you make it like a chair for someone to sit in?
Not yet.
If you had the plans?
If I had a plan, sure. But now you get into the fact of, and just to make it short, you make that chair, they use it, they sit in it, it breaks. Who's liable?
Weight Watchers? I don't know.
Oh.
But let's say it's somebody that's not in that category. They're a normal person. Yeah, and they sit in it and it breaks. It's on you because.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's say it's a sound design. Say it's something that's proven.
Then maybe. But again, how much time is that going to take me? Versus how much time?
For the first one you ever make, it's going to take you buku time.
Oh yeah.
But that's another thing. If you never made it before, it's not like you're like designing stuff for a CNC or for a plaque or a shadow box or for a coin rack or something that hangs on the wall. This is like, if you get the angles off, you're effed if you get the angles off, because that chair's going to sit there and wobble. You know what I mean?
Honestly, for that style woodworking, because we're production shops, which is we are. We produce and get stuff out. You're talking about someone that is using it for content. They have multiple sources of revenue. They can use that to generate, classes and stuff like that too. And they probably have a larger shop, so they can work on that. Well, in that your example, yes, but they have a larger shop where they can work on it, put it aside, do other things. You know what I'm saying? If that was the case, sure. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in between jobs, waiting on the laser, CNC, something drying, work on the chair. But right now, I would literally have to put it on my work surface, take it off the work surface, move it here, move it there, sit in it so I can do something else. I mean, like, it's not feasible to have a project like that in a small shop, even a 2-car garage. If you had a dedicated place where, it was larger, I could see it being a thing. I would like to design my own furniture someday. And you don't just do it. It takes time. And you also produce other projects while doing it. But you have the resources and the space for that.
True. That's all we need is time and space.
Hey, yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. So if you're listening to this podcast, we thank you. And just remember that the Sawdust Nation podcast is made possible by PWNCNC. So check them out, pwncnc.com. And for 10% off your entire order, use promo code SAWDUSTNATION981. And tell Daniel we sent you. And second, I want to thank Totalboat. Totalboat's phenomenal. They got the Halcyon. I've just been using it all week on some of my finishes. By the way, I started doing Halcyon for the backs of my for the carcasses of my shadow boxes and oil for the fronts. You still have that same great look, but now you don't have to worry about getting oil into all the little crevices and stuff around corners and all that stuff. So check them out, totalboat.com. And for 10% off your order, use promo code, slide into our DMs, and we'll tell you. That's not the actual promo code, but if you hit us up, we'll get you a 10% off promo code for your order at Totalboat. And lastly, I want to thank our affiliates, makerstock.com. Go ahead and check them out. They've got acrylic, they've got veneers and Baltic birch, all that stuff. So use promo code Sawdust10 for 10% off your initial order. And last but not least, thanks to OMTech. By the way, my new laser lid just shipped from wherever, Wuhan, China, and it'll be here soon. I'm going to kick it on over to Nap.
Yeah, hey, so check it out. Real quick, and to cap off, what this is all, how this is all made possible. Our patrons as well, the ones watching and the ones listening. So thank you guys, because we get to do these awesome giveaways. The first episode of each month, when we get to do like milestone giveaways, all the awesome stuff we're able to giveaways made possible by you guys. So we appreciate you guys. But if you are listening to us on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, any of those podcast catchers, go give us 5 stars. And if you don't give us 5 stars, go ahead and let us know why you didn't give us 5 stars. Because guess what? We can't give you what you want, what you really, really want, if you don't tell us what you want. But it was awesome to have 2 questions this episode. That's one way to contribute to the podcast, but also just giving us that feedback so we know that we're either A, doing good, or, well, not doing so good. Other than that, if you want to get a hold of us, Josh, how do you get a hold of us?
It's easy, really easy. If you're a part of Instagram, go ahead and look for the Sawdust Nation Podcast. There, you can slide into our DMs, ask us a question, and we'll get to you. You never know who's going to be, but that's half the fun. And if you want to message us individually, you can go ahead and do that by reaching out to Nick from MPG Creations and Nap from Nap's Nutty Works LLC, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. Be happy to talk shop, answer your questions, or point you in the right direction if you're looking for direction. Another great way to do that, if you're not on Instagram or don't like social media, is go ahead and do it through email, and that's sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. Easy way to go about doing it. You can send voicemails, pictures, start a conversation. We all have access, so we could all answer. And, you can also ask us individually there as well. We already kind of hit on the Patreon thing, but I'm just going to real quick blurb about it. If you love the podcast, it's the best way to be a part of it, because we can interact with you directly. We can go ahead and ship you off great stuff like stickers and T-shirts and other stuff like that. You never know what you're going to get. Christmas is around the corner, and we like giving Christmas gifts. And plus, you get to join us live during the podcast. Ask us these questions, send us a question, and then listen to the reply live. It's a great experience, and we hope that you join us soon on our Patreon account. With that, we're going to do a final word, starting off with Nat.
Hey, so check it out, guys. So we talk a lot about helping each other out in the community. I've been getting questions left and right about laser stuff. Especially with, inheriting a laser through Facebook Marketplace and just having the worst of luck. Reach out to us, reach out to people within the community, because there's a lot of folks out there with a lot of good information that are willing to give it, and to make sure that we're all, squared away with the things we have within our shop. If you have questions or any of those things, just reach out, because more than likely, I'm going to go with 90% of the folks out there are going to help you. Some folks won't help you because, it's proprietary, but, we will help you, and anybody that we know typically will help you out if we don't know the answer. So keep helping each other out. Keep making the community stronger. And, Nick, what you got, bud?
Well, like always, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, we'll see ya on Tuesday next week or Wednesday. No, Thursday. That's when we drop. We drop on Thursday. That's when we'll see you. Yeah. Josh?
You guys got to be a patron to fully understand and appreciate this podcast. I just want to throw that out there. Thank you for joining us for the 121st episode. It was a great time, great questions. And we hope that you're listening in when you pour that cup of coffee in the morning, on your drive to work, in the gym, in the shop, shoveling snow, whatever you're doing.
Shoveling
snow. Yes, it just came out that way. What have you. We appreciate you listening in so we can whisper in your ear. With that, go make some sawdust and Sawdust Nation out.
Out! Yeah.
We're out. We're outie 5,000.
That was a good episode. I enjoyed it. 7-9 to go. Ready to go. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy.
We just hit 100. It feels like.
I know, right? Like, y'all were just at my house, and we were doing stuff.
We were doing butt stuff.
Everything but stuff.
Yeah, that Sawdust Nation 100th episode was wild.
Nick got wild. Josh got wild. Drank lots of bourbon.
All the butt stuff.
But yeah.
Well, no, it just got awkward.